Drop.
Welcome to Lightning Strikes, home of the Oak Farms League. This week we're reviewing week number 27. We have a new leader in the clubhouse. We have a new leader overall for the league lead. We saw Jerry Mikulanec shoot 300 with a wild Brooklyn on the last ball, and a lot of other fun things happened last week.
An amazing week. Tick Transport, the team that nobody picked, is just rolling like no other team in the league. They disposed of Beach Bowl last week and literally just buried them. Every game was close, but every time in the 9th and 10th, Tick Transport was there. Preston Willis with 753 led the league with handicap with 822, and that team is on a mission. Unbelievable.
Best week of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And then week before, Mark Janasek had his best week.
It's just every week. It's one of them.
Show up.
And now they're telling everybody they are the best team in the league, and there you go, the 90% at 235. Here's a team going into last week. High average on a team's 209, 3 bowlers under 200. They're leading the league. So
that's great.
There's something to it.
All right, we'll get to that right now. Beach Bowl, they dropped from first to third. They took 5 points, and Tick Transport now jumped up to first place, winning 19. James Alval shot 617. Joe Gatewood 603. They both got swept. And Jerry Mikulanec shot 747 with 300 game in game 2. And Mark Plasky Sr. bowled 626, but John Berkshire shot 640. Preston Willis had the front 9 in game 2, shot 279, 753. Mark Janasek shot 550, and Tony Komorsek bowled 655 for 19 points, Larry.
Well, there's a team that shoots 200 over scratch with a high average of 209 going into the night. I said during the warm-up balls that Preston Willis was capable of 750. Most of the time when I make a statement like that, I'm wrong. This time I was right. I watched him in practice. He was dead lined up on a 10 board. He sort of yanks it. He yanks up 10, but he's clean and he's got a high rev rate and he throws rockets, and his pins were dancing. He had messengers. He threw the ball great. When you see a straight player yanking 10, getting messengers, you know that ball's got a high rev rate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was great game 2 where he had the front 9 and Mikulanec shot 300. That was pretty exciting too on TV.
Well, Mikulanec, I picked him to win the overall bracket. He probably had his lowest game in a month the first game. He was like 122 in the 8th and going nowhere. And then the last 2 games, 546. Mikulanec's a good bowler.
Oh, I like him. I like him a lot.
I'm so happy for him.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, next match was Old NWB, Old Man with Balls, jumped up to second place, winning 17, and Build won. In 7th place, won 7 points. They dropped down to 7th. The highlights of that match was Brian Copeland shot 621, and Matt Hodgman shot 675. And Dick Hogan bowled solid again, 577 with his 160 average. And on Build 1, looks like Blake Bernard shot 634, Joseph Guardado 680, and Adam Troba shot 657, only winning 7 points.
Well, OMWB's bowled very well now. Again, they're another team like Tick Transport, really not superstars on a team, consistent bowlers, long-time bowlers, very good under pressure. Roy Paris didn't bowl that well, but if you look at the team behind him, they get 17 points. He shoots 573 leading off. They got a 17.9. That's pretty good. Your leadoff bowler averages 180, 185, and you still take 17 points.
It was a good night for them.
Very interesting.
That's a good team, too.
They got a good team. Dick Hoagland bowling very well, and Matt Hodgman bowling very well. And again, there's a 90% at 235. So if you're looking at bowling next year, there's 2 teams, 1-2 in the second half. Full handicap teams getting, over 100 pins a game, 120 pins a game.
And they bowled a high rev rate team, Build 1.
Build 1. Very good team.
Great
and
team.
Got blown out 17-7.
They did. All right, our next match is going to be Naples Fire Protection. They won 13. They're in 4th place. And they bowled the most consistent team in the league is Hockey Baby. They're in 5th, won 13-11. And the high points for Naples Fire Protection was Ron Ricker shot 695 scratch, Billy Morgan big 746, Andy Cox is struggling at 632, and Dennis Beagle shot 653. And Hockey Baby was Anthony Evanchuk shot 697, Jim Shirk 654, Bob McIver bowled 618, and Chris Huback struggled 591, but he did get through his bracket.
Well, very close. 29-27 to 29-14, so that's a one-ball match there. And if you look at their scores, 993, 967, that's a one-ball match. 975, 966. These three games were very close. Both teams over 2,900. 2,900 now is a very good score where they were really hitting them. About 10 weeks ago, there's a lot of 2,900s. Now there's only one or two. The lanes have changed a little bit. They're a little tougher. Nothing ridiculous, but now 2,900 is a big score where 2,700s weren't winning. Now they're winning. It's very interesting how the numbers have changed a little bit.
2,900 won the city tournament here this weekend.
2,900 did?
Yep, that was
Wow.
my team.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I didn't know
It's
that.
handicap, who cares?
That's all right. A win's a win.
I don't want that.
You know, you go to a tournament to win, not to lose.
I want to scratch, not handicap.
Well, I always wanted to scratch myself, but if I won a handicap in some way or another, I'd say thank you.
Me and Martin won doubles handicap also.
What'd you shoot?
I shot 760 and Martin shot 770.
Well, oh, that's right, the first
And
weekend.
then Huff and Collier beat it yesterday.
Huff and Collier beat it.
Yeah, they shot 280, 270 last game to go by us.
Wow, Huff and
Scratch.
Collier, unbelievable
Yeah, they were
bowlers.
great.
Both over the age of 60, they can both strike.
Huff's
I mean,
not 60, but
Is Huff's not 60? What's Huff? 57, 54? He shot 2,200 and something all events?
Yeah, he beat Martin. Martin had 22.25 and Huff went by him at 22.50.
Wow.
Like 25 pins or
Huff's
something.
still great. He
He
still
is.
got it.
He does. He shot 246 the last game to go
Good
by
for
Martin.
him. Good for him.
Rack had a chance too.
Sure, it was fun waking up today knowing he could still bowl.
I
You know,
guess
that I always call it the long ride home, but
He had a
when
good
you
ride
win,
home.
boy, it's the great ride
They
home.
ended up winning scratch team. They won double scratch, and then they won all event scratch.
Well, they're Hall of Famers, all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve Collier and John Huff, they're automatic Hall of
Rakowski
Famers.
and Jacques both on their team.
Rakowski and Jacques Kahn, oh,
Yep.
that's a
They beat
strong
us, yeah.
team
They
there.
beat us by like 20 pins. It was me, Covington, Martin, and the boss. We finished second.
And you finished second.
Crazy. All right, the next match, who cares about us? We stink. All right, the next match is going to be Loot. They won 10. They bowled Fig Jam Alert, who has a new sponsor. It's going to be Seed the Table, so it'll be a different name next week. And highlight for Loot was Joe Lasik shot 607, and Darren Lamar 639, and Dwayne Billy struggled at 534. Ricky Ward 647, Lee Ratchin 626, and the great Mike Alshar 782, big 700s back-to-back weeks. And David Stover was very sick last week. He showed up on the first game, 217, and couldn't finish the night.
Yeah, Stouffer had a bowl because he was in the bracket.
yeah.
The minute he lost, he went home.
Yeah,
I don't
smart.
blame
It was
him. I like the
awful.
idea of seed to table. I was down there about a month ago. I've never
Farms?
seen anything like that in my life. That's the Disneyland of food in Southwest
insane.
Florida.
It is unbelievable.
It's just a wonderful place to take the family for a day and walk around and order something. Go sit down at a table with it. In 10 minutes, they bring it to you. No matter what you buy, you can get it cooked right there. There's 1,000 things to eat. And they have a little radar thing where you can walk anywhere you want, sit down. You leave your food at the counter, they find you, they set it down at the table, and it's cooked. Shrimp, lobster, salmon, you name it, it's there. Oh, I loved it.
So the drone finds you?
Yeah, it's a drone. It's a
They-
bald man's drone.
They did amazing. They put
They look
20
for the dome for the drone.
They did 25 million just in the renovation inside.
It's beautiful.
I know, it's
I love it. I want to go
They
back
really-
just to sit there and watch the people. It was fun watching the people walk around. It's so different. When you think of food, you think of
Grocery
Publix
store,
or
yeah,
Safeway or Albertsons. Food's food. You go in, you roll your basket. This is another world. This is not food. This is brought to another world here.
They really got all
Oh yeah,
everything right.
Seed to table.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
All right, the next match is going to be our good friends Stupid Corner. They won 8. They dropped to 11th. And Audie Fort Myers in 10th place. They won 16. The highlights of Stupid Corner was Mike Boyd shot 614 and Danny Wilson 584. They struggled. Gary Sykes bowled 626. Barry Sykes 644. And those are the two highlights of that team.
Yeah, really. Both teams struggling. Really, no scores. I mean, 644 high for 8 bowlers. Only 3 600s. That's struggling. But somebody's got to win, and Audio Fort Myers is on a little bit of a roll now.
They're
Let's
moving
see. Audio Fort Myers
Top
is
10.
only 22 points out of first place. They could put a couple 20 and 4s on them and be there. And they're a good team, longtime veterans. The Goats are behind them, where earlier in the year they were ahead of them all year. All of a sudden, their Audie's ahead of the Goats. Teams like that were very good teams, scratch teams.
It was a big shuffle up around
Yeah,
top 10,
yeah,
top
big
12.
shuffle. Big shuffle.
All right, the next match is going to be Taps, who won 20 over the 18th place. Lightning Strikes only took 4. The highlights for Taps was Daniel Hyam shot 696, Mike Varda 690, Ricardo Reyna 659, and Bobby Taylor 637. And the highlights on Lightning Strikes was Clark Holland shot 662, and Chris Rich 621, Kevin Day 615, and Eisenberg struggled at 525. This team hates position round.
Well, Taps bowled great. 696, 690, 659, 637, 20, 682. That's a great score right now in this league. Mike Varda really bowled well.
They all did.
Danny Hyams bowled very well the second half. Just bowling very well the last 9 weeks. Probably averaging close to 217, 218, 220 right in there. A lot of big sets. Veteran team. Ricardo Reyna a few weeks ago struggling. All of a sudden there's 659. That's a good team. And right now Taps is in the hunt to make the top 8 as we get into our playoffs. So that was a big night for them at 20-4. That really put them in a good position. We'll have that shortly.
They could have made the top 8.
Oh, yes.
We'll see. But yeah, Lightning Strikes,
Lightning Strikes very erratic.
They get crushed in position round.
Yeah.
They went 20-1. They lost.
Yeah,
20-4.
They went 1-23, 4-20. They don't want to bowl position rounds.
They don't anymore.
They got the worst position round record in the league, which is obvious with a 1-23 and a 4-20. It's got to be the worst in the league, which is too bad because you can bet they're going home wondering. They bowl that good and all of a sudden it hits them.
They're climbing up. They're like in 12th, 10th, and then all of a sudden they drop back again.
It's part of the sport.
It is. It's tough. All right, the next match is Brightview Financial. They won 11. They bowled against Chuck Rucker's team, Frank and Means, who were in 13th place. The highlights for Brightview was Scott Chakosky shot 672 and Tyler Plor shot 679. John Fisher struggled at 602 and Bobby Hamilton bowled 645. And on Frank and Beans, Mike Durkin 635 and Brad Zielinski's been on fire lately, shot 694, and Chuck Rucker struggled with 608.
Well, Brightview Financial's never been the same after the first segment.
Nope.
They ran away and hid. They led literally the whole segment. All of a sudden right now they're in 14th. They don't know their identity in this second segment. They're 107 and 109. Frank and Beans right in front of them in 13th, 107 and 109. Just carryover pins make the difference. So both teams right now struggling, trying to find an identity. John Pfister has just been a consistent downfall, 602 last week, and getting his average up to 235. Now he's got to be 225. He's lost 10 pins in average, literally in the last 10 weeks, and that team has went right down at the same time. Pfister went down, they went down.
They did.
And it's never one bowler's fault, but he did carry the team to the first half win. Now they got to fight to hang on to the top 8, and they're not locked in.
No.
They are not locked in. They were locked in about 5-6 weeks ago, and all of a sudden, they started, splitting. They're maybe about a 480, 491 in loss percentage, and all of a sudden now it's getting tight.
We thought nobody's going to catch Brightview.
I didn't think anybody'd catch him.
Everybody's caught him.
Yep.
All right, the next match is going to be Diamond Security. They won 8. They bowled in their 17th place. They bowled against the Goats, who's in 12th, and they took 16. Highlights of Diamond Security was Dustin Clark shot 606, the great Matt Rizzo 689, John Van Buren 661, and Mike Schumacher 631. And on the Goats, Dave Covington moved up to bowl first, shot 689, House Brown 688, Ice Martinez 624, and Jay Rucker struggled at 695.
Well, they pulled it out after going 4-20 last week, or 3-21. They had the worst week of the year. They come back with a 16-8. They went 28-18. They win team total. They bowled very well. They almost won the last game. They only lost by 14 pins. So they're back in the hunt. Obviously, they're trying to make the top 8 now. I don't see them winning the second half segment. Now it's a question of getting into the top 8 roll-up. They just got to stay consistent every week. Try to go 16-8, 15-9, 17-7 right in there. Try to coast in. Try to make the top 8.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, the next match is going to be team number 24, Eddie Foods. They're in 15th place. They bowl against the Bosses team. EBA Pro Shop is in 19th. Eddie Foods went 15-9. And the highlights of Eddie Foods was Greg Lindsay bowled 652, Joe Poundale struggled at 593, Chris Podostransky bowled 668, and the great Jerry Lake 628, and Robert Eddy bowled 560. Jocko had a blind. Scott shot 698, and John Rakowski 688.
Again, both teams there are struggling again, both in the second half, both in the bottom, anywhere between 12th and 24th. So, they're going to go up and down. They're really not going anywhere.
Nope.
EBA Pro Shop made a little run at the top 8. Obviously, they're in the hunt for that.
They are.
But they're not in the hunt to win the second segment. So it's interesting. They really don't have a shot in the last 18 weeks to win a segment, but they have a chance to win the league.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Got a good first half.
Yeah, well, of course. That team there with Cobb and Kahn and Rakowski, that's a team that could win a league. Robert Eddy shoots a 640, and they get in the top 5th through 8th and they win that game, that team's a factor.
Then I gotta run the
All of a
step
sudden
ladder.
in match play, they're a factor.
That's tough though, coming from the
They got to make it. They
5
got
through
to
8 spot.
Yeah,
into
they
the
got to
playoffs.
win that game and then win 3 more.
That's right. And it's tough. All right, the next match is going to be team number 16, Rob's Filthy Beard. They're in 20th place and they won 7. They bowl against Killer Tomatoes, who are in 16th, who won 17. The highlights of Rob's Filthy Beard's team was J.J. Feather shot 632. Jason Panacaro's out for the season, unfortunately. And Josh Brown 562. And Rob Thor 599. The Killer Tomatoes had Bob Bull 656, Larry Lippman 621, and Fred Ingles 657. Big bounce back from last week for Fred.
Well, again, both teams in the second segment of the league, 12 through 24th, they're fighting for identity. Both teams do have a shot at the top 8 with 7 weeks to go, 8 weeks to go. They got to start taking 18, 19 points to pick up some room, but they're not out, but they're digging a hole slowly. Right now, Killer Tomatoes might have a little bit of a shot. We'll see it shortly, but these teams got to start rolling now.
Running out of time.
A lot of them are running out of time now. Last week, we had about 14 in the hunt to make the top 8. I'm real curious to see what we have when we go over that in a few minutes.
That has changed.
Yeah.
All right, the next match is Autism Awareness. They won 11.5, and they're in 21st place, and they bowled against Aches and Pains, who won 12.5 and 22nd place. And the highlights for Autism Awareness was Don Senior bowled 632. Donnie Jr. finally shot under 600. He bowled 591. Billy Seymour 694, and Daniel Garcia struggled again at 588. And Aches and Pains, Craig Streetos bowled 625, Mike Smith 622, and Joe Smith 674.
Actually, pretty good bowling, 24-94 scratch. Yep. And again, it's a push night for both teams. They're not looking for pushes right now. No. They're looking for 19-5, 20-4. A push night, it's almost like, oh, why did I show up? Nothing happened. We're going to be in the same place we were in last week. Again, Daniel Garcia, probably his most disappointing league season. I'll bet if I asked him that, he'd say that.
Oh, he's frustrated every week.
Yeah, he's just too good and just can't find it. Every adjustment doesn't work.
No.
It's amazing. You can try 10 different things and you go for 10. You keep shooting 590. It's like, why is this happening? He's got a lot of equipment. He knows how to bowl.
He's awesome.
But his adjustments just don't work on his pattern.
I'm afraid to drive off a bridge on the way home.
There's a long one going over Port Charlotte Harbor, too. You throw them bowling balls right in and start over.
Ask him how many times you want to jump off that thing on the way home. All right, the last match of the night was team number 13, Rolling Thunder, in 23rd place. They bowled Big B Bowling, won 11.5 to 12.5. And highlights for Rolling Thunder was Herb Klein, 596, and John Totten both struggled, 529. Eugene Judkansky, 569, all struggled. They had 2 blinds again, Brandon Carlton and Doug Lozen. Wayne Topham bowled 638, and Robert Hilton bowled 656.
Both teams, good teams, but not good enough to go anywhere. In other words, you look at a handicapped team like Klein, Rosser, Judkansky, and Totten, and there's not one big gun on the team that can carry them. Like the difference with Tick, where you got Preston Willis, who can give you a 750. That's the real difference here. If you took Ron Rosser out and put Preston Willis on that team, all of a sudden the team might have, a little bit of a chance. So they've struggled all year because they don't have one guy that can take over and carry them. Now the Toplin Hilton team, that's the mystery team in the league. That's the one team I would have never figured would have been where they are right now.
Especially in the top 5 early.
Yeah, they were too good. Toplin and Hilton could go 1,400 3 nights in a row in the league, be 200 over between them, scratch and sweep. They can't go anywhere. They're just mired in the cellar at 60 and 155 in the second half.
That's insane.
And they're 16 points out of 23rd. I find that impossible.
I can't imagine being on that team, how frustrated they are.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this season.
Especially Robert and Wayne, because those 2 guys are horses, and they bowl a lot of tournaments. They bowl every weekend. They drill a lot of equipment. They're avid bowlers. And Doug Lozen's a very good bowler. Of course, Brandon's got a blind. He hasn't been feeling well. But you got a 204, a 218, and a 221 average that can't beat anyone.
Last place.
And there's Tick Transport with a 187, a 196, and a 209 that can beat everyone.
By a lot. Yep.
Unbelievable.
Good news for Hilton, though. He's still in the super bracket, so he could bail out his whole season.
Yeah, oh yeah. He could win that super bracket. He's a horse.
Yeah.
He's due for a win. He's been close in our scratch tournament a number of times.
Yep.
Had a bad game here and there.
Hurt his shoulder once, and he had to almost DNF.
Yep.
Yeah. So you ready for the playoffs?
I'm ready for the playoffs. That's what I can't wait to see.
Can't wait for the playoffs?
Yes, I want to see the playoffs. I love the playoffs.
Me too.
Put them up.
I'm going to.
Okay.
going for the playoffs. This is the update.
All righty, let's do it. Can't wait.
All right, there it is.
The playoffs. I love it. Well, Tick Transport, there it is, leading the second 18-week segment and leading the league with Brightview all of a sudden now dropping down. And if you look, the first 3 teams with Hockey Baby right there, 6 points apart. And all of a sudden there's a little bit of drop. Beach Bowl all of a sudden 15 out. But if you go down to the next 4 teams, there's an 8-point difference between Taps. Naples Fire Protection, the highest they've been all year, all of a sudden now knocking on the door, trying to catch Beach Bowl so they can lock themselves into the roll-offs. The Goats right there in good shape. Seed to table of Fig Jam, that's the Ricky Ward, the super team. And Taps holding on with our USBC directors. But now look, EBA Pro Shop, 2 out. Build 1, 4.5. Loot 5.5. Frank and Beans, 6.5. Autism Awareness, 12, like I'll say they're in. And now 14, Audi of Fort Myers, that might be it. Still 14 teams. I don't see anybody making a run after them. Lightning Strikes, 2 erratic. Diamond Security, no identity. And down the line, teams fighting for what we call an identity. Okay. OMWB Bowling, great in the second half. Second place, but look, 50 points out of 8th because they dug such a hole the first half of the season. So, again, I still see 14 points with Audi of Fort Myers at 18.5 out of 8th place.
I think OMW is wrong. I think that's a mistake, unfortunately. I think I made a mistake because OMWB has 131 points, and I have them down there at 84 points for the second half. So that's definitely a mistake. Typo.
Oh, that's a typo.
Yeah, OMB is way up there.
Okay.
They're close to the
I
top
thought they
8.
were close.
Yeah.
I just went by that. Got to
Yeah,
do a little
that's
editing.
my fault.
Got to do a little editing there.
No, I can't. I can't redo that. Unfortunately,
Let's start it over.
no, that's good. No, that's fine.
Sure?
Yeah, OMWB is going to be up in top 10ish.
So we made a mistake?
Yeah, a little mistake,
You think ESPN's gonna drop our contract?
All the OMWB fans out there, relax. Your team's right there, man.
OMW's right there.
They're right there. Don't you
Of course,
worry.
I'm only
Mistake.
reading what I was reading.
Yeah, my
So
mistakes.
I don't want to blame you, but I should have caught it quicker.
No, I should have caught
I
it.
was looking at it. OMWB, what happened?
That's right.
They're
right
bowling
there,
this
right?
great. Where'd they go?
How they did? Yeah, no. They're
Anyways,
they're in there.
what the great thing is, too, keep this in mind this week, we're down to 16 bowlers for the super bracket, right?
Do that in a few minutes.
And that's a lot of action. And of course, our top 8 is just fantastic with Tick leading the league. This is the first time they've led the league, and they're leading the second 18-week segment. And 3 bowlers under 200. Preston Willis probably averaging 211, 212 after the 753 last week. But now they got the target on their back. Let's see how long they can bowl as the number 1. Keep in mind, when you walk into a league on Wednesday night, really a team of no names, and I say that respectfully because nobody picked them. And all of a sudden you're leading 18 weeks and you're leading for the year. They got the target. Now we're going to find out. We're going to see what the team's made of. We know they're good. Now we're going to find out.
They're good and they're lucky.
They're good and they're lucky.
They won some games.
Hey, the 69 Mets were good and lucky.
They win at the right times.
Baseball's had that happen for years where a team, wasn't picked and they won a World Series. Many times I've seen that in my life.
If Preston Wilson would step up and shoot 753, it would have been a whole different story.
No doubt about it. He was loose as a goose last week. He was doing a little chirping too, He was emotional.
Yeah,
he's pumped
my
up.
favorite part of 300 is when Jerry shot 300, how excited Tick Transport was for him.
Yeah.
When, Mark Jansky went up there and
gave him
belly
a
bumped
yes.
him. And then,
Those are good guys.
They're great guys.
They're great guys. And I'm rooting for them. I'm good friends with John Berkshire. I'd like to see them win the league. John's cool. He's a fellow New Englander.
Yep.
And but there's so many good teams. A Beach Bowl right there with James, and so many good teams.
I like OMWB. I want them to make.
I like Roy Paris. Roy Paris is the hardest working bowler in this bowling center.
Coach.
Roy Paris bowls 6 days a week practice. Every day at 5 o'clock he's in here. No one works on their game more than Roy Paris. And in the old days when I was a kid, that's what we did. You walk into the Meadow Lanes in Hartford, there'd be 40 guys practicing, 5 days a week, 40 guys practicing. Yep. All waiting for the weekend tournaments, all bowling pot games. 1-1-1, $5 a man, $10 a man, doubles action, all week long. So all he did is bowl.
Still did that when I was there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
It was fun bowling the drug dealers for money. It was fun. I mean, more money pop bowling the drug dealers.
When I was a kid, they were bookmakers.
Oh yeah.
There was like a half a dozen bookmakers in there that liked to bowl. They were avid gamblers, and boy, if you got one of them in football season and they had a 10-0 weekend, they were firing on Monday or Tuesday for a lot of money, especially after the Monday night game with the Cosell and Gifford. And if they won a lot of money Tuesday through Friday, the action like tripled in a bowling center. Was that,
awesome.
they were all there. It was an action house.
I love the Meadows.
Oh,
My
so did
favorite bowling center.
I wish the Meadows were still there.
Me too.
And
Love
Joni
that place.
Mitchell said that in her song, they tear down Paradise and they put up a parking lot. Now it's a parking lot for an auto dealership. What a shame.
Could have been
It's not
Mighty
fair.
Track could have been the same thing. Could have been a parking lot for
Oh, yeah.
car dealer down the street. I'm
Yeah.
sure. All right. Well, that's about it for this. We'll get into the playoff. We'll get into the super bracket.
Yeah, we'll see you all Wednesday night. I can't wait as usual, and we're gonna try and stay with you through this. And we're praying for all of you. We mean it sincerely. Praying for this country, praying for all our viewers, all the bowlers across the United States, all the citizens,
Yep.
especially the elderly who aren't feeling too good, that are in homes that are probably scared to death right now. We pray for everybody here. So we'll see you Wednesday night.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.